Hello, avid readers, book nerds, or casual observers. Welcome to the read-along brought to you by the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna, and this is our read-along of The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. Welcome to week 3.
Week 3.
Week 3. Here are your chapter titles for this week. We've had Chapter 5, You Are Remembered. Chapter 6, that felt like it was stuck in my mouth. Chapter 6.
It was.
Nassun Makes Her Fate. Still Anna Just 3. And then we had Chapter 7, You're Planning Ahead.
Indeed. So we had 2 Essun, 1 Nassun, and a
Hoa.
weird Hoa interlude thingy.
Yeah. Let's talk about Hoa first.
Yeah.
Okay. We're back in time. And then we had the revelation that even further back in time is like us.
Yeah.
So we're like, this book is taking place super far in the future, which is incredible.
Yeah. This is like super post-apocalyptic. Like the continents look different.
Right. It kind of reminds me, in the vaguest way, not spoilery way, of The Lies of Locke Lamora, and how as the world was being revealed, it was like, oh, this is like built on really old civilizations.
Yeah.
Like peeking through. And we're seeing that. I mean, that's like what this reminded me of a little bit.
For sure. For sure. It's also a little bit, it's a little Wheel of Time adjacent too, without getting too spoilery for Wheel of Time.
Interesting.
For you Wheel of Time fans.
Well,
But
yeah. Big thing of note for me was that the ground is paved in plants that eat waste.
Yeah, if it's like they've found a way to become so energy efficient,
Which is
in this
incredible.
This future utopia they are trying to build.
Right.
And they're able to they're trying to do this, so they're on their little outing, their little excursion.
Yeah.
The tuners and what are they called? The people in charge of the tuners.
I can't recall. They're guards. We'll just say they're guards right now because they're not.
For some reason, constable is in my head.
I was thinking
don't
composer.
think that's right. It starts with a C.
It does.
Conductor.
Yes.
There it is.
We were composer, conductor.
Yeah.
Potato.
Conductor. Conductor. Not a constable. So they're on their little outing, and they go to this museum, and they're marveling at. I laughed when they were talking about trusting a wooden.
The hand railing.
Hand railing on a staircase to hold them. You're like, we're trusting the branch of a dead tree.
When you could have
not
just commanded a tree to catch us if we fall.
Yeah. Might as well just grow a vine and have a swing up there.
Right.
It's just so funny. Yeah.
Also, the description of things held in crystal, it took me a second to realize that they just meant a glass box. I was like, because I was envisioning a crystal.
Like a mosquito in amber.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
They just mean a glass box. There are things in
It's just a display
cases.
case. Yeah.
Which is it was so funny to hear their description of things that we see all the time.
But they come across this thing, which is this engine device thing that's old, but it's not. It's art. It's artistic.
It's
but
basically a generator, but pretty.
Yeah. And they're perplexed by this because it creates more energy than it consumes.
A generator.
And they're like, this should not exist.
Right.
This breaks the laws of physics.
Well, and Hoa
Who
asks...
made it?
Yeah. Hoa asks, who? And their head lady is like, you. And then there's more to see. And then it ended. But
because she said she's showing them 3 things. And this was one of them. So I'm really curious to see what the other things were. Because it seems like it's just kind of a mini version of what they're trying to do. So they're just trying to make this never-ending clean energy
Right.
that's infinite.
There were also, Hoa made several references to them being, to himself and the other tuners being, there was a word. Is it decanted? Is that the word I'm thinking of?
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about? He like made a weird reference to like
distilled.
Distilled. Right.
Yeah.
What does it mean? He also, in one of the other chapters, made a reference to him having been human before as well. Did you catch that?
Yeah, so I'm like confused on what exactly he is in the prologue. Is he not actually a stone eater? Is he some weird in between thing? Like, but they like don't remember being human, or maybe they're like raised from test tubes and like just have no concept, you know.
Could be.
I don't know.
It
I feel
seemed
like we
that
still don't
in
know,
the first
but
Still Anages chapter that he was human.
yeah.
And then the second one, not.
But I mean, we can see with Shafa that
Right.
weird memory stuff can happen.
Correct. Well, and even Hoa
So-
admits that, like, I remember, the more I
Yeah.
talk about this, the better I'm remembering it. So,
Yeah.
more mysteries to be seen.
Indeed. But yeah, so I'm curious to see what else will be shown, and I still do think that the ANSI tuner name starts with an R. I forget it. Like I still like the theory of him being
Shafa? Or Steel?
gray stone, yeah, steel, gray man, whatever Essun calls him, or steel for Nassun. And if Shafa is Shafa thinks that he was born after the shattering, so he wouldn't
But he
be
also
a
isn't
conductor.
positive.
Anyway.
So-
I guess we can segue to Nassun
Yes.
so we can start talking about Shafa, because that's pretty much it for the Hoa stuff, right?
Right.
Oh, he does. I feel like Hoa's falling in love with the girl, you know, because he like gets a warm fuzzy feeling when
She praises
she's
him.
proud of him
Yeah.
for thinking, because he's the thinker.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is some like weird like.
But he's also clearly in love with Essun.
And he wants her to look like Essun in the flashback.
Right. Right.
So like, there's some
Yeah.
It's interesting.
For sure. For sure.
Ugh.
Nassun, though. Nassun.
Yeah.
Nassun.
I gotta remember. I gotta put a pin in a thought and not forget it for when we talk about Essun's chapter, though, with more Hoa stuff.
Oh,
So
for
anyway,
sure.
yes,
There's so much
Nassun.
more. I am intentionally also not talking about it.
Yes. All right.
So apparently, Steel is not taking Nassun and Shafa on the fast track through the earth.
No. I don't know why. I forget the reason why not. Did Nassun not want to?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
yeah.
Shafa.
But yeah, they're going
too.
the long way around.
Yeah. I don't remember a ton of like earth-shattering things happening.
It wasn't crazy. I think it was just mostly just setting up a future chapter. They end up in this
Well, they end up in Shafa's home calm.
in Warrant. That's what
Yeah.
it's called. And they're in a dead civ ruin is where they end up being, and they keep hearing these creepy noises of some critters nearby that Shafa says might be like grasshoppers, but I'm like, well, we saw what happened to the boil bugs
Right.
when the season started.
Bugs are bad.
So what nightmare fuel are you about to feed us, N.K. Jemisin,
Right.
with grasshoppers? What do they do? Spit acid in your face? Like,
Well, why not? They spit tobacco in real life. Not real tobacco.
exactly. Yeah. That's just, yeah.
The other thing is that we have the revelation that Shafa has no longer been taking Nason's silver to like calm himself. No more Advil for Shafa.
But
she's
Nasson's been like microdosing him
Yes.
with.
Well, he sleeps. She's been giving him some somehow, which is so funny.
Yeah.
funny in a not funny way. And they also talk about how she thinks that Shafa didn't like the idea of being a parasite for her. But she's like, but I need Shafa too. And then there's like the note of, Nassun hasn't learned the word for symbiosis yet, but when she does, she'll have already started to use the word family for like the relationship that they have. Oh, there's stuff from the Essun chapter that I want to talk about here now too. Gosh.
I know. Well, yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you, dude. I'm right there.
Yeah.
But so Nassun is giving him a little bit of silver to get him through the night so he can sleep. There was the stuff that we mentioned before about how Nassun just asks him point blank, like, are you from before the Shattering? Because he can, like, remember all of this, like, ancient Earth stuff, and he's like, I don't think so. But I can still remember, like, some pretty old stuff, but not that far back. So, but we'll see, what's actually true there.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Him and Nassun, Greyman just kind of, like, went away. He's probably there, but just, he's being a creep.
Yeah, doing the new Hoa thing.
Yeah. So her and Shafa, it was kind of like a travel montage chapter, to be honest.
Yeah, it was.
With some conversations sprinkled in. Yeah.
But the big thing being the like establishment of the symbiotic thing that they've got going on, and then also the revelation that Steel has been leading them to.
Yeah.
The abandoned comm that was Shafa's comm at some point.
Yeah. So we'll see what they discover there.
Yeah.
They're still not at their end game, like, goal. They're not at the place where they're trying to get to. This is it seems like it's like a pit stop.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some creepy critters. There's going to be more dramatic things unearthed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
speaking
curious.
of dramatic things being unearthed, let's talk about the first Essun chapter, You Are Remembered, because that was weird and unexpected. And also, the minute that... Okay, backing up. They're in the stone forest thing. It's already creepy as all get out.
Yeah.
Ika tells the Origin ahead of them that they don't have to fight. And then that Origin decides to just not do anything. And then they get attacked from behind.
By a different group.
Well, we find out later it's a different group. They're like split, whatever. Essun almost loses it. She pulls herself together because she's like, you can't keep losing it. Which, that's like the first time in this section that happens. It happens again in the next Essun chapter 2. And then she goes and finds another Origin that we then get a name drop for. And we're supposed to remember this kid. I don't remember him.
I mean, it was from the crack chapter.
Right. Well, it's from Damia's chapters in the first book.
Right.
So
yeah.
I
think he was like the handsome one that like sat by her, and then
okay, that makes sense.
And then she's like, "Oh, hey, Mr. No Legs." Yeah.
He's been through it for sure.
Resorted to some desperate measures to stay alive, for sure. And like he asks her what happened to her arm, and she's like, "What happened to your legs?" And it's like they both got eaten, but one in a very different way from the other.
Right.
And we're not going to unpack all that.
Well, so she also, in that, like, before they realize that they know each other, there's like an attack, which she blocks with magic, and ends up turning one of her boobs into a rock. But she gets to choose.
Tell me. Yeah, she tries to focus it.
She realizes, something is going to be turned into a rock. I need my other arm, and I really need both my legs. So I guess the only option is my boobs. Which is not a bad line of thought, I guess.
sounds uncomfortable.
For sure. But yeah, I guess
Yeah.
if those are your options. And you're living in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, it's interesting that she got to like try to choose where the stone happened.
She's also become so like tuned into the magic of it all. And she can see that these origins also have magic around them, but it's like rough. And hers is all smooth.
There was an interesting thing that she pointed out. I think it was in this chapter.
Yeah.
That like orogeny and magic don't really mix.
Right.
It's kind of an oil and water situation,
Right.
which is not how I thought that orogeny was just like an offshoot or like a different brand of magic, like magic that is like hyper specialized in this one way when it could be like all these other different ways too.
Yeah.
But no, it's like its own separate thing.
Right. Yes, that was in this chapter. That's like when she's having her do I freak out or do I not freak out moment in this chapter.
Yeah.
And she realizes
But
that they're different.
I feel like there's still got to be some kind of connection though, because the obelisks enhance their orogeny,
Right.
and like those are magic. And Nassun has moved to being almost exclusively just magic.
Right.
And she turned her dad into a pile of rocks.
Right.
Like, so there's some kind of connection. I feel like we intentionally like don't know yet.
Correct.
But
I feel similarly.
yeah, there's some kind of weird connection. We just don't have all the answers yet. Like, why? Like, what's the origin of orogeny then versus magic? Because you know, like magic is like life energy basically. Comes from living things.
But hers is smooth now.
Yeah.
And she's wondering if it would be possible to make it rough again. And like because it's like she made the connection that her magic being smoothed out and like lined up is what's turning her to stone. Like they're related, those two processes. Which is fascinating.
And Nassun, going back just a little bit, also has the realization while she's like microdosing Shafa with silver threads that she's able to produce more of it now.
Correct.
Like she's flexing those muscles and she's becoming like more
becoming
adept.
a generator. She can, yeah. She's
She can
making
produce
more
more of
than
it.
she's using.
Yeah. So interesting. Anyway, back to Essun.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like, oh, can we join your comm? We are in bad shape.
Well, no, they're like, there's no way you're. She's like, you guys can join our comm. And they're like, you guys aren't gonna want us because they're all like.
They just kind of
sick
laugh at
and
her.
Not doing well.
Malnourished.
Yeah, but we find out very quickly in the next chapter that Mika's not like totally opposed to it. So.
It's like they have supplies and information,
Right.
and Lerna is convinced that most of them won't actually survive. Like,
Right. They've been very
being
malnourished
refed.
for a long time.
yeah. So we'll see how many of them actually like survive into future chapters, but hopefully the origin guy does, because Essun needs to stop it. It's because she's turning to stone. She needs to chill.
Yeah. Well,
So we need some other.
I don't think she's on the road to chill
No, you're right.
anytime soon.
Because of the next chapter.
Correct.
Ooh, juicy. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
This is when the episode actually starts, guys. So let's talk
Yeah.
about let's talk about chapter 7.
Yeah. You're planning ahead. Is she? I don't think so. Okay. I don't remember if she asks Hoa or if Hoa just offers up information about Jija.
He, I forget exactly how the exchange goes, but basically, he says she gets really frustrated. What did he tell her that made her so frustrated? And she's basically like, I don't want to talk about this anymore tonight. Like, leave me alone. Oh, she was basically just like, you've kept secrets from me. You haven't lied to me, but you've like not told me things that were really important, which is basically like lying and all this stuff. She gets mad. And he's like, okay, well then let me tell you.
Yeah.
Something that I know. Oh, and they talk about how, like, okay, other Stone Eaters can track Nassun now because she's an obelisk
Well,
user.
right. Yeah. He said something like he's being very kind of like
Kind of
he's
cagey.
yeah, cagey. I was gonna say coy, and I was like, coy is not the right word. Cagey.
Mm.
About like Nason's whereabouts
Mm-hmm.
until she has the realization that the fact that he can track her means that other Stone Eaters can track her too now.
Yeah.
Because she's attuned
And then,
to an obelisk.
mm-hmm.
And then he also reveals Gray Man is vibing around her.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, and one more thing. Gija's dead.
Right.
And tells her that Nassun's the one that did it, and it was intentional.
Which, yeah, the revelation that Jija is dead puts like fear in her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he says that it was Nason that did it and it was intentional, it's like that fear takes grip because she's like, oh my gosh, what happened to my kid that she would do that? But man, she has no idea. Nason has been on a journey. And I honestly feel like killing Jija is not the worst offense that we've had from poor little Nason. So,
Light work.
yeah.
I mean,
Bad. But
man. And
she also tortured a guy in a pit. So
I forgot about the. Oh no! I forgot about the person in the. Was it a lady?
no, it was a dude.
I don't remember.
It was a guy in a pit.
Oh, I forgot about the pit guy when she was like experimenting with magic and like how to heal things.
And then realized after the fact that she hadn't even attempted any kind of
Pain
management.
management.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's like, "Yo, take me to where Jija died," and he's like, "All right," and then just like slurps her down into the earth.
Yeah.
And just they pop right back up, which didn't seem like it took very long at all. So it's like, bro, you could just teleport Essun to Nassun, but Gray Man is nearby. He'd probably like interfere.
Right, and Shoppa's
like-
also there.
Yeah, but it's just impressive how fast they can move when they're doing this. Is basically what I'm getting at.
That's why I was like, why are Nason and Shoppa walking?
They're basically teleporting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they take in the sights. Essun's like, this is kind of like Fulcrum, but not.
Yeah, she's like, this isn't Antarctica. This isn't
This
the
isn't
Antarctic.
the Antarctic Fulcrum.
Right. And which I thought was funny because I feel like Ho was like, did I ever say that's where we were going?
Right.
He doesn't say anything, but I'm just like imagining him
Yeah.
internally being like, ooh, why would you think that? And literally
I never said
that. But she's like noticing how it's like Fulcrum adjacent. It's like someone is trying to create Fulcrum but doesn't have the resources to do it.
Or they're not remembering it quite right.
Right.
You know, which is on brand.
Right. Well, she's like, it's not as beautiful as Fulcrum. It's like Fulcrum made a point of being beautiful because that was like all the origins had. Which is wild. Yeah. So they're just kind of like taking it in. Hoa's letting her... I feel like Hoa is really focused on letting her unfold this new trauma for herself. Like, he's not forcing her in any one direction. He's just letting her take it in. And we also had the moment, I think it's right... I think when they're talking about Jija, he mentioned... Or maybe it's later. Where he has the moment where he's like, I wish that I could communicate to you. Like, I wish I was still a tuner and I could tell you that I love you. And, you know, but...
Yeah. There was a lot of weird breaks.
Yeah.
With Hoa kind of like breaking the fourth wall and looking down the camera lens.
Right. Right. Because there
in
was
this
also...
chapter, which was interesting.
I think that was towards the end, though, where he's like, he has the revelation, where where he tells her that he can't die. I think that's at the very end of this chapter. He says, I can't die. And then Essun is like, oh, he means that he's never going to leave me. Which is very sweet. But also, I can't figure out if it's creepy or not.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
Because he's eating her.
Like, it's kind of like Shafa, where you, like, want them to be, like, this guardian angel figure, but there's, like, this darkness that
Right.
you're trying to, like, figure out and dissect.
Oh, because Essun gets so mad about Steele. Because she's like, oh, he's Okay. Before they go to the found moon, there's a lot to unpack there. So before we get to that, I want to touch on this first. When she has the revelation that the other Stone Eaters can track Nassun, because she's attuned to it, but it's also because she's using magic so much. And that, like, makes her a little beacon for the Stone Eaters. And she comes to the conclusion that the reason that Steele, or Gray Man, is following Nassun and, like, guiding her is because he just wants to eat her. That's all he wants. Which I don't know if that's actually his end-all motivation or not. I think that will be a perk for him.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that that is what he's truly after.
Yeah, Essun, even in this chapter, still doesn't understand Nason's true goal. She just knows, also, Hoa dropped on Essun that she also wants to, like, use the obelisk gate.
Which is how Nassun is like, or Essun is like, oh, that's Steele's trying to manipulate her into doing that so that she'll become like me and she'll turn into stone.
But she doesn't realize that Nason's end goal with doing that is just, like, going nuclear.
Yeah.
And just destroying the planet. Whereas she's trying to end the cycle of the seasons and, like, make things normal again.
Right. Right.
But anyway,
and then
a townsperson shows up.
Well, no, hold on. So when she has that revelation that Steele is manipulating Nassun, Hoa makes a comment about how, like, a lot of us do things to, like, manipulate other people to get what we want. Yeah. Kind of, like, pointing the finger at Essun a little bit.
I mean,
yeah.
This is something that
we've talked about a lot.
This is something that all people have done at some point.
Right.
Like, whether intentionally or not, or, like, you know.
Right. It is hard when you see someone that you love being manipulated. So, anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So, fast forwarding again. They're in the found moon, and this random townsperson shows up.
Like, hey, who are you? She ends up pretending to be a guardian, which is, I'm sure, has to just smile and be creepy. Like, so funny.
Yeah, she's like, it's fine that I'm being weird because guardians are weird.
Yeah. It's fine. He'll buy it.
Which he does, so it's fine.
Yeah, he
totally assumes that she's a guardian.
Yeah.
She doesn't, like, decide to do that on her own.
But the dude takes him to where Jija's pebbles are. His gems. And they see that. She figures out what it is. And
he also reveals that Shafa was one of the guardians. And she almost loses it.
That was the biggest moment for me in this whole section, was when he says, oh man, yeah, I hope Shafa, because she asks about Nassun, like, oh, a mid-ladder girl, this kind of complexion, kind of willowy. No, because she says that, and then he says, oh, Nassun, yeah, she was scary. I really hope Shafa kills her. Yeah. And then she's like,
right, yeah. Well, I think he revealed that Shafa was one of the guardians before that, but that moment was where she really almost lost it. Almost destroyed that was like... And he's literally just a information bearer. But, because he mentions the other guardians, and then when Shafa showed up, and she's like, Shafa, what? And she asks, like, tall guy, dark hair, white eyes, and he goes, yo, you know him, yeah. And so, like, that kind of endears her to this guy a little bit, which I think is funny.
even though she like wants nothing more than to see Shafa dead.
Right.
Like, oh man.
And then he makes
Anyway,
the comment
yeah.
about Nassun being creepy and unsettling.
Yeah.
But not when she first arrived. When she first arrived, she was very polite. Someone had raised her right, and like you can tell that Essun is very proud of her. And then he's like, and then things got weird.
Thunderclap, obelisk gone. Thunderclap, obelisk back. And then floats away with them.
Yeah.
And Jija's a pile of gems.
Right. And he just knows that it was her.
We found the bodies of the other two guardians, and they are messed up.
Yeah.
Like, so she's getting like a picture painted of like what the situation is. She doesn't have all the answers, which is so like when writing a story like this, when the audience knows more information than the characters do and they're getting fed it piecemeal, it's so like it's not bad writing. I'm not saying that. It's just so frustrating as the reader because I want to like shake her and like tell her what's really happening, even though I can't.
Right. Because it's kind of a variation of the communication trope, like the bad communication trope.
Yeah.
But this version of it is more palatable to me.
This version is fine. In fact, I mean, this makes it compelling because you want to see her uncover the things that you already know,
right,
so that you can be like, oh, finally she gets it.
Well, and also this person is also just been uncovering things as they go. Because, I mean, he first says, like, yeah, Shafa bailed on us with the kids and said they had to go on an adventure. And then after they left, we came up here and we were like, oh my gosh, these two guardians are dead. And then we found this pile of gems, which we figured out was Jija. And, something real messed up here happened. But we don't really know what exactly, but hopefully that Shafa guy is going to kill Nassun because she's weird.
Yeah, because she clearly had something to do with this, and it was crazy.
Just wild. Just like wild conjectures. Not far off base.
No.
Just wild.
We're getting long, but before we like wrap, I wanted to for sure talk about like Essun's headspace when like for this, because she takes quite the journey. I mean, they end up going back to the calm, zipping back through the earth, and she's, really upset, and Hoa's like, just go forward, just take another step forward, like all this stuff. And she does, she goes back to the calm, but she has these thoughts when she's still kind of reeling about how Nassun has turned into her and that she turned Nassun into herself.
Right. She created herself in Nassun.
And I'm like, yeah, man.
She's so angry.
You broke her hand.
But she's like, did Shafa break her hand? And then she goes, oh my gosh, she didn't have to. I already broke her hand. Uche's death already broke her hand. And my gosh! And when the
phantom pains from her arm that's missing because that's the hand that got broken.
And then the guy is talking about how Nassun was like Shafa's little duck. She was like always in his shadow, and he'd hold her hand, and he was like, it's weird because I don't remember Guardians ever showing any kind of affection for anyone before, but like there was something going on there. And she has oh my gosh, I gotta find it. I was listening to it in the car, and I was like, that's, oh my gosh, hold on.
It's when, I think I know what you're gonna try to find. When she...
Okay, are you ready? And there it is, the thing you haven't faced in all this time. The Kirkusa with ash and blood on its muzzle. Jija owed you a debt of pain for your son, but you owe Nassun in turn. You didn't save her from Jija. You haven't been there when she needed you, here at the literal end of the world. How dare you presume to protect her? Greyman and Shafa, she has found her own better protectors. She has found the strength to protect herself. You are so very proud of her, and you don't dare go anywhere near her ever again. There's that part. And then page 168. The hand that you don't have twinges again, but it is more tentative this time and not the throb of before, because he wouldn't have had to break Nason's hand, would he? No, no, no. You did that to her yourself. And Uche was another broken hand inflicted by Jija. Shafa protected her from Jija. Shafa was affectionate with her as you struggled to be, and now everything inside you shudders at the thought that follows. And it takes the willpower that has destroyed cities to keep this shudder internal. But, how much more welcome would a guardian's conditional, predictable love have been to Nassun after her parents' unconditional love had betrayed her again and again? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Intense.
What a revelation. What a bit of
She has
realization of how utterly
she has
you failed.
quite the breakthrough emotionally. She's realizing that she was, to me, this was her realizing that she was a terrible mother.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she may have like kind of thought it before, but this is when she first truly, it like dawned on her just like what scope.
Right.
When she's being affectionate with Shafa.
Right.
You know.
Right.
The guy who broke her hand wanted to turn her other kid, who she had to kill to save from Shafa, into a node maintainer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, man. And just the thought that, you know, she found people to protect her, Shafa and Greyman, and they'd be good at it. And she's proud of her for, like, doing that and finding people to protect her when her own parents couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go near her ever again.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
Yeah. Because I failed her so utterly.
Oh, the drama.
Right. So then how does she move forward? How does she continue if the thing that's been driving her this whole time is no longer an option to her?
I think we're going to try to figure that out.
I know.
Because at the end of the chapter, Ho is like, move forward. Mm-hmm. Take another step.
Right.
And we're still going to try to catch the moon.
Right. The moon is still coming back.
Yeah. Whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
One last thing. I really liked, like, this part was crazy. And I was really confused because we know that Hoa is, like, talking to us. But for some parts, Hoa is referred to, like, he doesn't say I. He goes into, like, third person for himself. Like, Hoa doesn't move for perhaps half a minute. You've noticed this about him. He takes varying amounts of time to respond to conversational cues, which is weird to me. You'd think he would say I. Like, sometimes I take a while to respond to conversational cues.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's, like, something there where, like, it's shifting narrators all of a sudden. I don't know. But
I feel like he's
it's
done
just
that
odd.
before, but it stands out now
Okay.
because we know that it's him.
Okay.
I think that happened more
this
in
part.
book 1, but now that we know
Okay.
it's him, it's like, why are you being a weird little narrator again?
Yeah. Because we have these breaks.
Yeah.
This one is really cool. This is right after he says Jija's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then it breaks to him because it says that you freeze. And then in this moment, I remind myself of why I continue to tell this story through your eyes rather than my own. Because outwardly, you're too good at hiding yourself. Your face has gone blank, your gaze hooded, but I know you. I know you. Here's what's inside of you. And then he goes to break down, like, all the things that Essun's feeling. Like, I'm just like, how do you have this kind of deep connection where you know, like, her emotions and all this stuff? Because, like, it feels like this is taking place. It's like he's telling the story later,
Yeah.
you know, like, after it's all done.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it is. He's like yeah, you're right. It is.
It feels like there's more, like, their connection is going to deepen even more.
Yeah.
And, like, what a love connection looks like with a stone eater, I have no clue. Is it similar to what Alabaster and Antimony had? No clue. Did they have some kind of weird thing?
It didn't really seem. I don't know. It seemed more like a symbiotic or parasitic relationship, but maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, no, because like Alabaster and Essun had a connection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yeah, the whole "you're safe to love" thing at the end was really ouch.
Yeah.
Emotional
Oh
damage.
my gosh. In spades. In spades. Yeah.
Say your catchphrase.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh no.
Do you remember
No.
the motto of this entire
No.
series?
I'm trying a total blank.
Consider us both disturbed and engaged.
Yes, disturbed and engaged. Utterly disturbed.
Completely engaged.
Disturbed
Yeah,
and
so-
engaged. Thanks for reminding me. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. So what's the reading for next time?
For next time, you're going to read chapter 8 through chapter 9. Let me make sure there's not a silly just here at the end. Chapter 9.
All right, read through 9.
Whoa.
Cool. Hey, no cheating.
It wasn't
Get
really
outta here.
cheating. It was just the, like... You know how at the end... I really do feel like I need to go through and reread the ends of all the chapters.
Oh, the little blurbs.
Because I mostly kind of ignore them.
This last one was kind of cool because it was about this guy who, like, tapped into an obelisk and got stolen away by a stone eater. It was creepy.
Right. So that's why I'm like, man, I need to go back and reread all those. I feel like there's more clues in them than I just, like, not have any kind of context to, like, put them together.
Yeah.
And I think I have that context now. Or at least better. So that's going to be my goal. After we finish this book, I'm going to go back and read the ends of all the chapters.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So read through 9.
read through 9.
Cool. Yeah, I guess until next time then. Happy reading.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.
Bye.